Who would be a Wolves fan, eh?
Hello, welcome everyone to today's episode of Wolves Fancast, part of the Sports Social Network. It's Rich Hobbs here, and I'm joined by stalwarts of the podcast in Andy Gillard and Adam Price. Fellas, how are we both doing on this fine, crispy, wet autumnal evening?
Greetings and salutations all. I'm under the weather, hence I don't have a beer or anything with me. I have a cup of coffee with me just to see it through. And as you can say, Wolves haven't really helped.
To be honest, after last weekend's escapades with Mr. Price, I've had a quiet weekend, so just sort of like interrupted with a little bit of football, pretty much.
Yeah, and looking at the other games, particularly the ones today, like I don't know about you guys, but especially when Wolves lose, I can't want a good Sunday of football.
Something to make up for it.
Just something to make up for it. Particularly if it's an FL game, like just anything just to get me over the hump. And even seeing Man United getting smashed, it just doesn't. It doesn't have the same hit, does it?
It's too regular occurrence. Like back in the 90s, if this happened, it would be exciting. But now it's just seasonal, isn't it?
Yeah, when you get Liverpool winning a penalty in like the 95th minute, it's just not an exciting day for sport, football anyway. But we should probably address the elephant in the room, shouldn't we? In terms of Wolves, Wolves once again lost for the fourth time in a row in the league. It's our first start. It's our worst start in 127 years in a league campaign. Not great standing, guys. But when you saw a starting lineup, it did. Me and Jeffro did the preview show. Wasn't what we expected at all. Really, kind of a step change, to be honest.
A lot of defenders. Like we were under the impression that Krejci was brought in to be a centre half, so we had him and then three other centre backs. So it was like, what's going on? Like we genuinely did not know really what the makeup was. And of course, obviously, there's the Sam Johnston of it all. When it's been Sarr or Bentley's usually been the second choice, but yeah, Johnston being stuck in there and the return of the Musk as well. Like there was quite a bit going on, and no idea how it was all going to jigsaw together.
Yeah, I was generally a bit shocked actually when the lineup come out. I thought initially Vitor had dug out Gary O'Neill's old team selection tombola from the back of an office in Compton somewhere, and I thought, I'll give this a spin, see what shit comes out the other end of this. But I mean, I was genuinely shocked. I don't think anyone was expecting that. I think I can speak for a lot of people when I say that no, when it was not expecting that sort of team lineup. But I know that sometimes, the first game after an international break, there are, possibly the avenue there for some team changes. But this was quite something, seeing the complete change across the board, really, and in terms of a bit of the formation as well. I mean, at least we've got as Andy says, with Johnston in, at least the rumours of that were put to bed fairly quickly by Liam King, saying that Sarr was ill. So fair enough on that one. But for the others across the board, I mean, for me, we chat about it in our fancast chat group that we all said that Tolu had only got half an hour in him or whatever. So me personally, I was definitely not expecting him to be anywhere near the starting lineup, but here he was. He was straight in.
Well, I was going to say, I think if nothing else, Vitor Pereira very much likes a target man centre forward. He likes a focal point up front, unless he's going to go for Manetzi as a false nine.
Don't even joke about it, because it will happen at some point.
we'll do it. We'll be a cup match. It'll be fine. Just to try it out, you know. Like, look, you shit on the idea, Andy, but all the other ideas haven't worked. So by that logic, Menezes as our focal point up front might be the answer.
Agent of chaos up front. Let's see.
That-
They won't know what he's going to do because he won't know what he's going to do himself.
Exactly.
That's true.
You know, it could really confuse Virgil van Dijk. You never know. Like
Our own players, though, that's the
genuinely,
problem.
like, yeah, just it might just create such confusion that one of the other players can nearly take advantage. But yeah, just seeing Krejci in the middle, I don't know. It felt like he was just trying to squeeze players in. And don't get me wrong, Newcastle are at least an effective team, at the very least. I know Gully of these Fancast parishes would argue they're not a good team, but they can be dangerous and kind of filling in that midfield. Newcastle have a very strong physical one. Having an extra body in there, I kind of get the logic, but when you kind of see it in the bigger picture for the rest of the team, it just looked that little bit disjointed, for want of a better term. And it's not great, as you say. It feels a little bit tombola-y and not quite sure what the grand plan is. And it might be why we brought in Krejci to begin with, right? Despite him being a centre half by trade, it might be that actually no, we've identified him as being a midfielder and giving us a slightly different dimension.
Potentially. The problem with that, though, for me, Rich, if they have brought him in as a centre half and now he's here and think, oh shit, he needs to be in midfield. Who the fuck's identifying these players? That's really quite worrying that they've brought in someone and not really known what he's going to bring to the team. And I kind of feel like that with a couple of the other signings as well. Like, I mean, going straight back to Menezes, he was supposed to be coming in as this bit of a midfield general, and then he's playing in the inverted number 10 role up front. I don't fully trust whoever is making the decisions on these signings.
And that's with Menezes, it's a weirdly similar trajectory to Dendoncker, who, for their lack of technical ability, I think is the polite way of putting it. Actually, just be an agent of chaos, break up play, do all your running in the middle of the park, and just get involved. And there was that point where Dendoncker it kept finding himself in like the right wing position, and it was just like and he couldn't do anything. He looked so completely lost, and it was in such a way it had to be designed for him to consistently be in that position. And it just never felt right. And it's the same with Menezes. It's like, you know what, just be a bundle of energy. There is enough stock in that to just be physical in the middle of the park. Trying to get him to do kind of anything beyond that, and like when it's just it kind of shits on other players like Arias, for example, who arguably should be playing in a role more suited to being, that bit further forward, that bit more centrally. But we, effectively, we're getting a poor return out of two players instead of getting a potentially okay out of one. It doesn't feel like there is either a plan or enough flexibility within the players to create a plan.
I think it's interesting. It's interesting that Menezes didn't start yesterday, because I mean there was one thing. There's a comment made last week, about how he never gets subbed off. Never mind, when you start in every game. I mean, like I said before, we're the first game post international break, so there can be some changes depending on distances travelled for players and what have you. But it was interesting that he didn't, for once, he wasn't down on the team sheet. I'm looking at the team sheet itself as well. And what ends up happening, we had Hugo Breno playing right wing back at the start, which was very strange. I mean, I was pleased that Rodney Gomez got his start, because he's been due a start. To be honest, he couldn't have done anything else off the bench. Gomez, I'm glad he got a start. Obviously, the team lineup apps would have had you believed, a common sense approach was going to be used, and that he would be right wing back and Hugo would be on the left wing back. No. We see straight from the off, we've got Hugo on the right wing back, and you're thinking, guys, you didn't know we've just signed Jackson to Shearer, like Sonic the Hedgehog 2.0, and he's just been benched. So that was weird when the game started. And I think going to those three in the middle, it seems like a midfield three, and this was proved as the game went on. We've got like Clinton cards in the middle of the pitch, because they're all collecting bookings left, right, and centre.
Yeah,
they're collecting yellow cards. I mean, we've got Craigie. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but Craigie, we know, like, he racked up the red cards at Sparta Praha, didn't he? And we've got Andre and Joao Gomez, who are always, they're at least to get the clock up a card every 2 games. And all three of them got a card yesterday. I'm just thinking we've got like 3 absolute madmen in the middle of our pitch at the moment. Which, I mean, Craigie got his first card after what? Was it 6 minutes on the clock? 7 minutes?
Something, yeah.
In early doors.
I was going to say, like a child at a party who's drank too much fizzy pop. And we've had an interesting YouTube comment from David Burns, and just a great lead-in for me. You can't judge this team on yesterday. Vittel said he was only working with the players he had in training, and I get it, because a lot of them have been on international duty. But we are 4 games into the season, and we've had some of those players for quite a while now. And, the fact that I do find it kind of worrying, you say, that we've brought in 2 new fullbacks who aren't kind of getting in the team or being particularly different in terms of high-level quality from Bueno and Gomez, who, I like. Who doesn't like Rodri Gomez, as you say?
Well, he's just lovely looking.
He's a
lad,
lovely little boy, isn't he? He's a lovely little lad. But we're not going to tear trees with them. And it's like, as you said, Andy, like, what the fuck are we doing in terms of bringing some of these players? And some of them we just aren't at the level that ultimately we need to be at the moment.
No, we're not. And like David does make a good point, because as has been pointed out by Adam as well, like, these players have been away and they're coming back, and it's going to take a little bit of time, but there's still, like, the genesis of this team are what were there last year. They're not, like, there's not a lot of new faces. And the fact is, he only started with 2 of them yesterday, one of which wouldn't have been playing had Strand Larsen have been fit. So in his ideal world, it probably would have just been 1 new player. It just feels like, does he know his best team? Which feels like such a cliched thing to say. But we have been throwing so much shit at the wall and seeing what sticks over these 4 games. And even towards the end of last season, it was just a little bit too much. This didn't work, so we'll try this, we'll try this, we'll try this. There's no consistency. There's no chance to allow these players to actually grow into these roles. And I think when you look at least one half of the back 3, like, we keep chopping and changing the centre of the 3. We keep chopping and changing the right side of the 3. Totti's the only one who's a consistent, because he's the captain. So that kind of worries me, especially because I feel like when it comes to consistency, the most important part to keep a consistent team is going to be your back line. And the fact that we've had Doherty, we've had Santi, we've had Mosquera playing right side, we've had Mosquera and now and Agbadou in the centre. Agbadou stepped over. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Do you know who needs to be playing where? Or because if you don't know, I can't imagine the players are going to be brimming with confidence when they step out onto the pitch.
Yeah,
That defence worries me. It
Mhm.
worries me. I mean, I've said before, Totti, I don't think he's just good enough, full stop. And the fact he's our captain, it's quite alarming. You say he's consistent. I think he's consistently poor, generally. That's just me, though. And then I do worry about Mosquera, like, generally. I think he's another one who's, like, normally, like, he's
got
just
a rick in him.
Yeah, and you think in your head, your typical Colombian centre half, or centre back, whatever, defender. He's just him. Like, he's just someone who's a hothead. I mean, I saw you watch back some of the highlights of the game, and the tussle he has with Dan Burn. And Mosquera just keeps throwing himself to the floor again and again with him. And we know that he's just slightly unhinged, or else why else is he putting his finger up people's bums and everything from last season? I mean, the guy is just, I don't know. I can't think. I'm trying to think of the right words, but I just worry about him. Both from a mentality state sometimes and the footballing sense. He gave the ball away a few times yesterday, and then we've got Agbadou who's dropped off a cliff. Whilst he did put through one good ball yesterday, I think for the chance that Tolu nearly got on the end of. Again, I saw him give away the ball a couple of times. I just worry. We've got a group of defenders at the minute who are suited to a team that's rock bottom of the Premier League at the minute. When you think of, like, when you think of, like, defenders who are at a bottom of the table team, you think, yeah, it's kind of what we've got at the minute. And that's concerning.
Yeah, I mean, that's a horribly accurate assessment, to be honest. And I think in terms of, like, the depth, I think what you were kind of alluding to, Andy, is that, it keeps chopping and changing, not because of necessarily always injury, but that sense of let's just work out what's happening, what might work because it's going wrong, rather than people pushing and there being a level of high competition for places. It's more, you know what, it doesn't matter if I get dropped, because chances are in 3 games' time, someone else is going to be crap and I'll get to play then. And I mean, you've got like Santi Bueno, who I thought did all right the other week, and then he doesn't start. It's like, okay, well, how are we going to build on that? And I completely kind of get some of the some of the points we've had on YouTube. His best team left in a close season. He needs time. We had a pre-season, and I know it doesn't count for some of the newer players. Maximus Wright, big contributor on the streams. This team's got the potential to develop. In some ways, it has more determination. And again, I get that there needs to be this time to gel, but with we're 0-4 to go really American in terms of the language on it. And I was going to say, it didn't ever look like we were going to win, apart from the first 4 seconds of the game, because we say all of this, but you know what? Of all things, it was a lovely little off the training ground move to nearly score the opening seconds.
It looked like American football style, the way it was done, like the way they'd all set it out and they'd got their positions. And to be fair, the first half an hour, I think we did look okay. I don't know if it was a case of the inverted wing backs took them by surprise, and as soon as they figured that out, there wasn't much of a challenge after that point. But maybe that slight surprise just took them a little bit unawares, I think, potentially.
Yeah, it was a great first 60 seconds. To be fair, I actually sat up and took notice the first 60 seconds, because I thought, after the shock of the first team that took the pitch, I was like, holy shit, straight Gomez shot corner, and then I think it was Huang. Was it just straight after that with his shot? And I thought, but yeah, this could take everyone by surprise. And then, like I say, as the half went on, Newcastle, I think, started showing the quality a bit. I mean, they could have gone ahead with Murphy's chance with Johnson and his point blank save, which was a great save. I mean, it depends which way you look at it. Great save, shouldn't have given the keeper a chance. Whatever. Either way, it was a key moment that at that point kept us in the game. But yeah, we just seemed, as Andy said, we just kind of, I don't know, we seemed to just wane after that. It was an exciting first 20, 25 minutes. And then, I mean, after that, apart from, I'll say, Tolu's chance he nearly got on the end of, I can't think of any other meaningful shots on goal we had. Pope after that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought, yeah, we all kind of burnt out pretty quickly, and then that was it. As an attacking force, should we say? I mean,
you know what it felt like? Do you remember when you was younger and you used to play football over the park, and like maybe some grown men or older kids would come and play football, and you had the exuberance of youth, which would see you through, and you'd be like, okay, we can get at these. And then after like half an hour, you're like, oh no, these are just grown adults and they'll knock you the fuck off the ball. That's how it felt. Because every time we tried to get some nice little intricate passes, they just stepped in and said, oh, you've done enough now. We'll take this back and do some actual stuff. And it did kind of feel like men against boys.
Yeah, I think it kind of goes back to what I was saying in terms of like why they put Krejci in the midfield, because Newcastle are a big physical team. It might not always necessarily feel it, but the likes of Guimaraes, Tonali, Joe Linton is a big midfield. That is a strong midfield. When you've got Byrne in that team, Fabian Schär, Volkmader, even likes of Harvey Barnes will get in amongst it. And it did feel like we kind of had an idea, and I don't know. I guess it depends how your optimist to pessimist scale in terms of either we're trying to do intricate passing or it was a bit too tippy tappy, and we weren't quite slick enough to get over the positive things that Newcastle do. Like but if they're physical, like we try to almost kind of match them to a degree, but then we're not quick enough and don't ultimately have Cunha and Ait Nouri right to do that bit of magic to break through two players. And I think we're getting there. And obviously you look at the profile of basically anyone Wolves have signed under Vitor Pereira, and he wants big bastards. That's what he wants. He wants big, strong, physical players. We've had Maximus chipping in again. Building a physical team different is they were getting with some shockers where we're not even felt the need to call the refs on it. Fine, whatever. But ultimately, we've still got a part of the team who want to be nippy. Even likes of Huang. And I know he gets his grief for his ability in a Wolves top, but it's sometimes just about playing to our strengths. It doesn't always feel like we can do it. And you're right. After the near chance for Tolu, who actually I thought looked okay. He looked better than, sounds bad when I say he looks better than I thought he would be.
But he's only been here a few days and he's not really had chance.
He very much had.
He
very much had like half in at best.
Yeah,
and everyone he say, but that's thing we all bloody knew it. So, like, game plan accordingly. And it just feels like we don't have enough resources to be able to do that at the moment, whether it's through personnel being injured or otherwise.
I thought, going back to Wang for just a minute, I thought Wang played a lot better yesterday than he has done. And like, I know I'm a little bit of a Huang apologist, but I've been saying the way you can get the best out of him is by having him playing closer to an actual striker, not having him farmed out onto the right wing like he has been. And that made him look so much better because he can be that busy little bastard that that he's got in him. So I think that if you're going to go with a 1-2, you probably need Tolu, JSL, and maybe Huang.
I thought you were going to say we need to stick to a big man, little man. Like go. Just look. We all know Barclays is coming back. Let's just.
That's it. Yeah.
We
That
just need
was
to look
quite-
Quinn and Niall.
That was
So
quite
quick,
fun, as I mentioned at the start, like on the commentary, and again, number 9's back in town, back in groove. We've got our own Tolo up front, big number 9. They've got a guy who looks like Rudy Voller stretched out 2 foot higher up front. The big bastards are back in town. And we've got 2 of them. We've got JSL and Tolu. Imagine if we kept Sasa as well. We could have had the trifecta of big bastards up front.
I was genuinely surprised he didn't stick with Sasa. I know there's like a really high chance he gets injured, but I thought, you know what? Particularly after that like little spell he had in the cup match, I thought he'd go. Maybe because we got Tolu, it was like we don't need 3 big strikers. But I was going to say, it mentioned about Wolf Marder. I'm weirdly into his style, like the hair, the tash, the long sleeves as well.
Yeah,
That's proper throwback, isn't it? That?
It is, and it's a look like
proper Barclays.
It's something else in it. And I've watched Back to the Goal a few times now, and I know a lot of people were critical of Agbadou for, I guess, his role in it, in terms of, he maybe got caught a little bit. I think watching it back, I think Wolfmar did a really subtle, like, kind of little nudge in the back to get that separation. And I think although I think he could have done better, I can see how a really good striker managed to kind of create that goal for himself personally.
He's done well with it. But Agbadou, like a seasoned pro, should know how to handle something like that. A ball into the box like that. It was a good cross, but it's not amazing. And it looked like he was trying to defend the space rather than attack the ball, which I think is not really what he should have been doing there.
Mm-hmm.
It's the textbook. What if you imagined Wolfmar the scorer in Wolfmar the scoring yesterday, then that's the exact goal you'd imagine someone like him scoring.
Yeah.
Cross swanged into the box and him winning his header and putting it in. That's just exactly the sort of goal he was going to score. I think the cross could have been stopped a bit quicker from coming in. As David in the comments has just pointed out at exactly the same time. I mean, like I say, Agbadou, I know he's big himself. Wolfmarder's bigger, basically. So, it all comes down to, like you say, how Wolfmarder gets that initial half a yard, which he has gained. I think it's the only real header that he had all game, I think, from memory. So, I mean, it wasn't as if Newcastle's tactic was get it out wide, just sling it in the box. Whereas our tactic kind of was just sling it up to Tolu and just see what he can do. But then he was up against Dan Burn as well, so that's like the clash of 2 titans there. So yeah, it was a textbook 101 goal. You'd think that he was going to score, but yeah, we could have done better stopping the cross in, but we kind of limited him to that one chance only all game.
Yeah, and unfortunately, good strikers
will
make you pay. And you're right, it kind of it knocked the wind out of our sails. We didn't ever really feel like we were gonna really claw one back. I say, apart from the I guess you call it half chance for Tolu. I think it was kind of summed up for me watching the highlights of the game as well, when it was like just barely anything after the goal. I think they had was it the Murphy offside goal, which was very, very clearly the run was offside, and it's like just put it up, and I think you could see Murphy being really really pissed, because you could have put why not just put it up earlier? I don't get it.
Yeah, it like you could tell immediately that it was offside, and then it took like 2 minutes to give him. This is why people hate VAR. Just get on with it, and it was silly because he was a good 3-4 yards offside.
Yeah, and genuinely, it was almost like he scored it, being like, I feel like it might be off, but obviously I've got to just gamble on it. But you say we couldn't couldn't quite do it, and even we're bringing on the subs as well. It just never quite made the difference. You've got even people like Fer Lopez, who I thought looked really bright against Everton, and we've already kind of dug out Manetzi once, so fuck it, let's do it again. But when you kind of see him coming on before you when you're chasing a game, and like I get that the league is more physical, X, Y, and Z, but like we're buying these players, we're investing in them. Like we kind of got to trust some of these to give us that bit of magic. In all honesty,
we needed that because I think by playing these inverted fullbacks, we kept going down and then cutting back to then come into the box, and by that point they were always back, they were always covering. Like we kept slowing ourselves down. So then you bring on someone like Manetzi, who within 5 seconds of being on, got the ball, lost the ball, fouled someone, got booked. Like, what are you doing there? Like, bring on someone who's got a little bit of composure, who can actually create stuff. I mean, even the good stuff that Manetzi does, the running, the physicality, that's not what I think we were particularly lacking at that stage of the game. We needed some creativity, which is where you need to be looking to Arias and Lopez. So you're right, when you see Manetzi limbering up to come on, it just takes the wind out of your sails even further.
I was going to say then, when you listed off what Manetzi done, that it would have been the great time to have inserted the Larry David music right at the end of that. That would have just summed him up just nicely. But I think what Fer Lopez is, come on, we've got to start playing him more. Got to give him some more game time now. He's actually got some creativity. I said this in the last pod that I was on. He's actually the one with creativity. We don't have that many of them in the team. We've got a shitload of workhorses, guys who will run. We've got a team full of marathon runners, majority. Lopez seems to be the only one with a degree of technicality or technical ability about him, creativity. Arias, probably signed to be the same. We're just not seeing it yet because of different reasons. But when you were chasing the game, that's relatively close. We're only 1-0 down away to a good team, and we need to start putting some pressure on that team. Bringing on Manetzi, in my eyes, and probably many others, isn't the kind of person that you want to be bringing on at that point. You want to be bringing on someone like Fer Lopez, whose attributes are that of someone who can pick a forward pass, look to create space for our forward-thinking players. So yeah, it's just like Maximus has said in the comments there. There's something. Vitor has seen something in training with Manetzi just because he loves him so much, and we've been told before. He makes space for others and blah blah blah, and he runs a marathon a game or something, which I guess is fine for certain scenarios, but is it fine for every game? Because up until now, he's played every game, and he's one of the first subs that are coming on, like yesterday. I don't know. For me, I think we should be looking to Fer Lopez a bit more now. I know he will. Yes, I know he's young, he's raw, but he's got technical ability, and I think we should be giving him a bit more game time now, giving him more of a chance.
Yeah, and I sort of think just to have someone who can unlock a door, and I don't know if I've been complimentary or critical of Newcastle, but it didn't feel like they were particularly amazing. And you're right, actually, it was only 1-0 for a reason, and you've got to kind of feel as a fan and as a team, like, what, if it's still only 1-0 in the 70th minute, Like, we're still in this in the Premier League. You kind of still are against, 14 plus of the teams, and even with someone like Newcastle, like, we had an opportunity to kind of test their resolve that little bit earlier. And I don't know, it's really easy for me to say this in hindsight, but if we'd have, I don't know, maybe, what was it, 60-ish minutes, 65th, I think, when he makes a triple sub for Arias, Bellegarde, and Manetti, actually, bring on Fair Lopez at that point and see what we can unlock, rather than it being, another 10, 15 minutes. And, it just felt like just not enough time to really have an impact. And I'm not saying that the front three against Celta Vigo is how we should start every game in terms of Arias, Strand Larsen, and Fair Lopez. But ultimately, you've kind of got your marquee signings in there. So, and it sounds, really reductive, doesn't it? It's like, well, you've signed these players for decent money, just play them. But they just, I don't know, either the confidence in the players, the team to be able to just kind of go, actually, you know what, let's try and take the game on the front foot, rather than, filling out the midfield, filling out, how can we, try and limit it as much as possible, because we can't get away with it because we don't have enough incredibly good players like we did last season. You could get away with it when you've got 8 Nori and Cunha, and particularly probably 8 Nori, just to be able to just do that extra thing to kind of drive you through those kind of next stage of the pitch.
This comes back to the recruitment element, doesn't it? So we all know that we let go. Sorry, not say let go, but we sold some major players in our team. You mentioned them, just Rich. You mentioned like Cunha and 8 Nori. That's a lot of goal involvements in the team that are no longer here, and we've replaced them with players who, at this moment in time, and we can only talk about it at this moment in time, which I appreciate is 4-5 games in, including the cup. They don't appear to be at that same level. That's why there's a big, massive drop off. But then, you look with envious glances over to somewhere like Bournemouth, and it pains me to say that, where they lost Kepa, they lost Huijsen, they lost Kerkez, and one other that I'm forgetting at the moment. But they lost 3 of the back 4, didn't they? And they just replaced them and gone about their business. And again, I know we're only 4 league games in, but they've won 3 of them. And they've just gone about their business with no dramas. It just feels like we're getting our recruitment all wrong. It's a bit of a mess. And this was something that was alluded to on the ENS Poddy Live on Thursday, that Vitor's got sign off on anyone who come. If he doesn't say yes, it doesn't happen. But that you've got the data team who are putting their guys forward. Tetty's putting his guys forward. I'm assuming Mendes is putting his guys forward, as long as trying to sell our own players. And it just feels at the minute that we're just not between all those groups. We haven't highlighting the right players. And even with Krejci, yesterday I think he had an okay debut, to be fair. Nothing standout, but he wasn't terrible. The insinuation is that we've paid way in excess for him compared to what his actual market rate is. And why is that? Why have we done that? And not sure how high up the list Tolu was, for example, or it just speaks to recruitment. It's just an issue at the minute, and forgive me, I'm seeing like a bit downbeat because, well, there's very many obvious reasons for being downbeat, but unfortunately, I think this is the season that we go. Unfortunately, I think this is the season that we finally drop. I mean, we've been we've been flirting with it, twice in the past 3 years, haven't we? Where we've flirted with it. New manager comes in January or December time, just before we chuck money at the problem to try and bail. We suddenly find some money to put in the bank account and bail us out of the situation that we're in. But you can't keep going through these scenarios again and again every year. I mean, I don't know how far away Vitor is from O'Neill's record. I think if you overlap the seasons, O'Neill went 14 games without a win, and if you overlap the seasons again now, I think in the league Vitor's up to 8. Is it? I might. Someone I'm sure will
that
correct
rings a
me
bell.
if that's wrong.
Something like that.
Yeah,
it does feel very O'Neill at the moment, doesn't it? Like late day O'Neill at the minute, like in the stands as well as on the pitch. There's a lot of there's like a real lack of cohesion going around at the moment, and it's tough going. Like, I'm not quite ready to say that this is the season that we're going to go down, because it is September. We've got plenty of time, but I don't have a lot of confidence. Like, you could toss a coin and it could go either way, is how it feels at the minute. It's really difficult to keep going, and you're right though. It's the recruitment's the issue. And the fact that Victor's getting the sign off on it, these are his players. These are the players that he wants at this club. And he's got everyone bar one midfielder, which he was offered a midfielder and turned down the chance of Brownhill, wasn't he? I mean, I'm not a massive Brownhill fan, but he was given an option for something and didn't like it. So he was relatively happy with his choices that he's got at the moment, I feel. It feels like a club that has been through too many managers in too short a space, and each manager has brought with them a director of football, or they've worked closely with a different person, and it just feels chaotic at the moment because no style has ever actually flourished at this club, because it just dies on the vine like it always does here.
Yeah. Running the stats very quickly, by which I mean I opened up a ChatGPT tab. Gary just did some quick maths and not some really rapid copy and pasting. Gary O'Neill average 1.08 points per game. Vitor Pereira is on 1.78 points per game because he's got 32 points in 18 Premier League games. That doesn't sound quite right, ChatGPT.
Vitor's a history maker at both ends of the spectrum, isn't he? So last year we went 6 straight wins in top flight, and now we've started this season with, for the first time ever, it seems, 4 straight losses.
Yeah, and I guess the positive. Not positive, but look, if we try and have a bit of a rosier look at this, I know there's been comments on YouTube in terms of, hey, look, we get a win against Leeds, the season might start to turn. We only had, we had very few points last year until Vitor joined, which is not great. Yeah, last season we had 12 points at Christmas. We only have to win 4 games, between now and Christmas to equal that. And that's kind of depressing if we're being brutally honest. But also it's in reflection to the rest of the teams in the league as well. A stat like that, because we got away with it last season by and large because, there were 3 very poor teams in the division. Definitely very much 2 very poor teams. Whereas this year, I think, I don't know. I think the teams are slightly better, and we are not.
Yeah,
And that is really worrying. And we we might still be the fourth, we might have potential to be the fourth worst team in the division.
You can't bank on that though,
But
can you?
that's
If you've
that's
got
not how
three
to be
teams
looking.
worse than you, like every season you think, oh, we've got enough for 17th. But the problem is with 17th is that means, oh, you could be 16th. You could equally be 18th. Like
Yeah.
you're going to be in that range and you're going to fall somewhere on it. And like, I don't think we're significantly better than three teams. We are in like within a ballpark of the worst teams in this league. So it could literally be any one of probably five teams. Probably not even five, to be perfectly honest, because it does feel like a lot of the other clubs from last year have kind of moved away from us a little bit now.
Well, yeah, effectively it's us, West Ham, and the three promoted teams.
That's the saving grace, isn't it, at the minute, that West Ham are a complete like chariot of shitty fire, the same as we are. And also a slight silver line at the minute is that Villa haven't even scored yet. So there's that.
True.
But
good point.
There's always that's me trying to look to the
and you've got
positive.
Forest as well, and Forest as well.
Who knows what they'll be like now, but
yeah. So
I mean,
exactly. So there's loads of worse teams than us. What are we talking about, fellas? It'll be fun. I mean, go on.
I was just going to say that the tests. That's what I think why everyone's obviously looking to Saturday now as being such a huge game, because it's a promoted team. As you just said, Rich, well, and you as well, Andy, that we've always said it's okay. There's the promoted teams that come up are generally terrible and they go back down. Well, all three of the promoted teams have performed better than us so far, and if we somehow don't, I'm not even just a draw. A draw is not good enough. If we don't even get a win on Saturday, if we somehow come away without a win, I think that's when a lot of people will turn. Then it'll be like the Ipswich game from last season possibly. I think Vitor must have gone this long without any drinks, because he's gone 8 games without a win. He has not been in the pub for 8 match games. So the pubs of Wolverhampton are chomping at the bit for a win as well. But yeah, I mean, Leeds by all counts seem relatively decent team, well organised from what I've seen. So that it won't be, it ain't going to be a cakewalk, that's for sure. I'm just hoping that with a week with Vitor on the training pitch, he's got all the gang together now. No one's away in far-flung countries. I'm hoping, that we see a team reflective of that on Saturday, and I'm hoping that the starting lineup reflects, the fact that he's had a week to put a good attacking team together to really take it to Ipswich. And what I mean by that is I don't want to see Marshall Monetsi starting.
Yeah. And it sounds really silly. Look, if we win our next 2 games and we got 6 points from 6, it's not end of the world stuff. It's still not super amazing, but at least you're kind of back on track. And I think, I don't want to start a big conversation about, as you said, we've had a manager who's not won in 8 now over, that's kind of bookended 2 seasons effectively. And where we kind of see the future of our Wolves manager, because I think only mad people sack their manager a couple of games into the season. But I don't know. I mean, I said at the end of the year, I think if Wolves kind of had any bottle, they'd have made a decision on Vitor Pereira then. And it would have been really harsh because he's got a great relationship with fans, but we know he is not a manager who stays around long term in places. It doesn't tend to last. And part of me kind of had the opinion then, and still now, that we could have, it would have been expensive for the club to have got rid of him, which is probably why they didn't do it. But it's going to be expensive for them now. And at least if we'd kind of got a new manager and kind of just gone absolute clean slate protocol, then, we could have had it all kind of shaped in pre-season, but I appreciate it doesn't work like that. And we've started this new project, you say, in terms of the type of profile he likes. And, it's really kind of visible from the outset. So it's like, well, the new manager might come in and go, well, actually, I want to play, a slightly different brand of football with not these, giants with some who can't kick a football. When Nuno resigns, is he going to want that?
Right. And the thing is, Vita doesn't feel like a long-term manager at all. There's a reason that his contract ends at the end of the season still.
Yeah, and wouldn't it have just been magical if like he stayed, he kept us up, he drank in the pubs, and he'd have died a hero.
He would be the new Walter Zenga almost, wouldn't he?
Yeah, and you know what? That would have been great. And actually, it would have been cold from the club, but I think everyone would have gone, oh shit, the club's serious about bringing in a manager, who they can see 3 years with, which we've not had, since Nuno left. So I don't know. I think after the Leeds game, it's probably a conversation we'll have, and I'll set up a new. Well, I was going to say we can't do a gonometer. I'll think of another. Yeah, we'll think of another name.
Vitor Vanish, but
yeah,
I think Vitor's got a lot of. He's still got plenty of credit in the bank with the fans in general. And you talk about those that are like in the stadium going fans who will make their voices heard in the stadium. He's got a lot of credit in the bank. The club have gone and got this director of football that he wanted, right? So they've invested in him. Whilst Vito hasn't got a new contract yet, and that's probably like on the back burner for now. They've got this guy in, this director of football, which kind of lends itself to a longer term plan. But like you say, this is the least guy that you make a long term plan with, Vitor. It's like you say, it's like trying to set down roots with Walter Zenga, as has been previously mentioned. You just don't, because it don't happen. You've got 20 years of his career to look back on to say that he ain't going to be here by the time the next summer comes. So it's weird that we've gone down that path of we've gone to him and said, well, tell me, you can bring your guy in, and we've let him do that. When now we're on some rocky water at the minute, and the contract is up at the end of the season, has been said. So it all just, again, the dots aren't joining up at the minute when it comes to the plan. And there's, again, I go back to other clubs whereby sometimes their managers get cherry picked or headhunted by bigger teams, and they just know who the next guy is that's coming in and will keep with their philosophy. Again, I'm probably looking towards the Brightons and Bournemouths of this world, and their philosophy is one that they can absorb their star player being sold, because they just know the next guy from bloody Venezuela who's going to come over and just that next player, that replacement player, just hits the ground running off the go. And Brighton and Bournemouth, as teams, that philosophy works. They, for the last couple of seasons at least, they've been very, very stable in their performances. Whereas us, we've been very volatile with our league performances over the past couple of years. When you look at we were crashing and burning until Lopetegui come in. We found the money. We stayed up comfortably. Then Fosun just literally pulled the plug out and sold everyone. And then O'Neill had that one season where he stabilised us a little. Then we shit out again, and we were sinking without a trace until Vitor's come in, and he rescued us. We had a brilliant six winning streak, and now so Kel Surprise, it seems to be we started off this season completely rudderless and looking not threatening at all. I don't think dropping Nuno into the situation is the answer here. I appreciate. No. I've saw the X campaigns have started for him to come back. If everyone really thinks that just parachuting Nuno into Vitor's hot seat is the thing that's wrong here, I don't know what to tell you. Because I don't. That's just. And Phil, you guys have your say as well. I just don't think that's the answer. It's not the golden ticket out of the trouble that we're in.
Yeah, I said it in the group chat the other day. Like, Nuno is a money manager. Like, he does well when he's given the money to build a team. He's not going to get that here. If he comes in mid-season, I don't see any of this team playing for Nuno in 12 months' time. If he gets an unlimited transfer bucket in the summer, I think he would come in and it would be galvanising the fan base. But I don't think the football would really pick up, if I'm being perfectly honest. We just don't have the players for that. And I know people will still want him because he's a hero around here. Like, it's unquestionable. But going back to your point, like, our succession planning price, he's dog shit. And that's why we've gone from we had like Thelwell and then Hobbs, and I'm sure I'm missing someone. Now we've got Tetty. And it's like, who was the Cunha replacement this summer? Was it supposed to be Fair Lopez, who's a completely different player? Or Arias, who's a completely different player? Like, the succession planning is never, we need someone to come in and play this role now. It's always who's available, who plays in a similar position. Might be completely different player. Like Wolf at left back, completely different to Aït-Nouri. And there's no succession planning at this club. It is just a case of, they wear number 3 shirt, so he's a left back, he'll do. And it is going to catch up to us eventually. When that happens, I don't know, but it is going to catch up to us.
Worryingly, it's starting to feel like we are hitting that point, unfortunately. Unless something does massively change, and you're right, hey, a week from training together might make all the difference. Strand Larsen coming back, I think, will make a difference as well. But it's worrying, I think they're always terrible in terms of it, but I can't remember which betting sites sort of had Wolves listed as the most likely destination for Jose Mourinho for his next club. It was like us and West Ham, but I think that's more based on who's more likely to lose their job in the Premier League first.
Mourinho is just the biggest money manager, though. So again, he ain't coming here. Like, it just makes no sense.
No.
Well, if he does come in, I can't wait for January when we have our normal trolley dash and we get Sarabia version 2.0 and have some on 160 grand a week. Yay.
Be fine.
Money well spent.
Fine. And you're right. Like, it feels like we're in that kind of pessimistic cycle, doesn't it? In terms of that. Like, well, no, not pessimistic. I think we've just been here before, but ultimately we know the manager isn't going to be the big deal breaker. It will buy us a bit of relief. And I think, to be fair, I think Nuno coming in would uplift everybody. And I think he's very good at cultivating that kind of culture, that togetherness. He improves players as well. When he's got a bit of time, he did it at Wolves, he did it at Forest. The downside is that he will want to make changes, and how much he's able to do in a short period of time, it kind of runs out. And I don't know. I think it will be interesting to see how we shaped up. With up until the next international break in mid-October. I think that's kind of your real kind of baseline. We've got a couple of games coming up, the likes of Leeds. I think this Leeds game is just really big now. And you hope that Wolves can start it with the same mentality and the same aggression they did against Newcastle, but be able to keep it continual, or be able to get that chance and ultimately know how to manage the game out, which is a whole other topic. I feel like I'm running before I'm walking by saying that at the moment.
Got to get there first, don't we? Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, if we're going up to the taking the cup game out, so the next 4 up until the international break is Leeds at home, Spurs away, Brighton at home, and Sunderland away.
We usually do well at Spurs, to be fair, and like we've got 2 promoted teams, so like there would be something that in a vacuum you would look at those and think we can get something there. But the problem is obviously we don't live in a vacuum, and you've got this unremitting shit that has been following us for the last 3 months at this point.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to go in with any positivity.
Because you would go, say, almost without the last month of the season to reflect on. You go, you know what, actually, if we can come away with 7 to 9 points from that, you'd be delighted. But you go, well, Spurs are looking hot at the moment. Brighton,
Just Brighton.
just
Yeah.
we might as well phone that one in. Sunderland, again, they've got a bit of bite about them. But Vitor has shown that he can put a winning team together. So who knows? Let's see if we can pull something together. But of course, we will be back on Thursday to preview the Leeds game. Make sure you keep up to date with all things Wolves Fancast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you name it. We will be keeping up to date with our moans and groans and lols and trolls of Wolverhampton Wanderers. But until next time, it is goodbye from Andy.
See ya.
It's goodbye from Adam.
Keep smiling.
And it's goodbye for me. Keep your heads up, everyone.
Who would be a Wolves fan, eh?
I'd realise